I think we can all agree that there's a very serious situation going on in the Ukraine that requires a lot of thought and attention. A lot of people obviously have been sharing the need for prayer about it, but there is an opportunity for us to actually do something. But to get to that point, it was something even today we had to spend some time thinking about what the right response is for Christians in a war and in a conflict. And whole denominations separate out based on pacifism and scriptural interpretation that justifies that stand. And there's also theology around something called just war theory in terms of what is a good war, or what's the right way biblically to respond to conflict. Um, and so it's a lot of stuff where we try to teach you good things. We try to teach you things very scripturally sound. In this case, this isn't meant to be any kind of deep teaching, but just an understanding that we can get away from our keyboards and stop talking about things that we don't really understand, expressing opinions that maybe we probably should hold to ourselves. I mean, guys, I've seen us literally sharing what has been traced back to being Russian propaganda that's just meant to divide us. So instead of being divided, here's something that, regardless of what our stand is in terms of this country and how we feel about the politics around us, this is something we all can come to do together. And that is actually support the army in the Ukraine. They are literally crowdfunding as a way to raise resources to be able to fight against Russia. And so just really quickly from a biblical standpoint and a Christian understanding, the perspective that we're coming to you from is this understanding that this is a war that we're not directly fighting right now, but there is a really simple illustration. Jesse, our pastor and retired bull rider, he was getting some information from a pastor in the area that he knows, gave this illustration that if we look at what's happening in Russia and break it down to just something as simple as the playground bully, from a biblical standpoint, if you're the one being bullied, it's the right thing in that playground instance is to turn the other cheek. That's what the Bible teaches us to do. But if you're the person on the playground that knows that that bully is targeting one kid and two other kids and is a threat to a lot of other people, then I think we can understand that the right thing to do would be to get in the way of that bully and stop him from hurting other people. So where individually I might need to turn the other cheek to somebody that's done something wrong to me, when I know somebody's doing something that's terrible to somebody else, we know that that's a biblical thing to do, to intervene, because we understand the Bible teaches us to love others and to be kind to others. And that's a way that we can show love and kindness, is by standing up for somebody else that's being pushed around. So in the situation with Ukraine is already, we have that playground bully is working with literally flamethrowers that cause people to disintegrate, and we're seeing tanks being driven over top of just civilian vehicles. So we know that there is evil being done. It's regardless of our views on all the political situation around this. We know that there's some great evil that's taking place in the Ukraine. And so I think it's reasonable for us as Christians to say that it is okay to get involved. So we're going to include in the comments where this video appears links to how you can directly support the Ukraine. We've done the best we can to verify that this is correct information. It's come from somebody that's in Kyiv right now. It's come from some research online. There's two different organizations that I'm going to share with you. One is just banking information that has an account that literally goes to the army in Ukraine to help them. And then the other is another organization that helps support them. And they also fight against the propaganda that's out there. Because right now, Russia is showing videos to the Russian people of quiet streets in Ukraine. But if you know where to look, you can find videos of buildings being targeted, blown up, and ammunition, all the tracer rounds going through the air, everything. It's a very different view of what's happening in the world that's real and what's being shown to others. So I urge you guys to be careful of the propaganda that's out there. Share things that you only know to be true and correct, because the more divided we become, the weaker we become against also foreign attack. And I'm not suggesting that anything serious is necessarily going to happen here, but we also know when we're dealing with bullies that, so Finland, Switzerland have been threatened by Russia in terms of if they try to join NATO. We have been threatened with cyber attacks and everything else that Putin can throw at us, is kind of what he's put out there if we get too involved. So again, the issue of a bully, I think it is right and just for us to be able to take a stand in that way by supporting this army. when we become aware of more missionaries that can be supported, that's normally the first thing I would think of to share with you guys is, hey, here's a missionary that's helping kids. Here's a missionary that's helping families get out or get established in Poland, where many of them are going to right now. As we speak, families are being divided. Men are not being allowed to leave Ukraine because obviously they're going to need to fight. So they're leaving their wives and children at the border in Poland and heading back into an uncertain future. So we absolutely need to be praying for them. But I want you guys to consider that in terms of, if we're going to be at the keyboard, let it be to send a donation in instead of expressing an opinion about something we don't really understand. There's ways that we can actually be helpful in this. So again, that information we'll start putting in the comments. I'm also going to put something on our website, cowboysofthecross.com. I'll have that up there tonight, and we'll update that as well when we get new information. So as we become aware of some other missionaries that we can support, we'll include that, but for right now, we're just making available how to help the military. Lisa Newman is a rodeo photographer. She's involved with the ministry in Cincinnati that's going to be doing some help, so we'll make that information available as well. And Jesse is getting us information on an orphanage in Ukraine that a former church of his, back in his bull riding days, there's an orphanage that they've been supporting there. They're in contact with that orphanage, finding out specific needs. So it's overwhelming the amount of opportunities there's going to be to help. But right now, the biggest thing is helping that country defend itself. And so we really do have a role that we can play in this by sending them some help and support. So that information is available. Guys, please, social media makes it so hard. When you use the words like and share, it starts to filter you out of news feeds. And it's not even a politics thing. It does it for everybody. If I put these links in a comment, or in an actual post around this message, it'll filter it out of your news feed. So one of the things that you can do to help us with this is to like and share it, pass it around. And please, with all the other stuff we do with cowboysofthecross.com, when you can like and share it, it helps us get our messages out there, because we do try to teach you good and right things. This was not meant to be a formal, proper biblical teaching, but we continue to put that stuff on the website as well. So again, cowboysofthecross.com is where you'll be able to find some of the information in terms of how you can help, starting this evening, Saturday night. And we'll update that with stuff that's made available from the cowboy community, because a lot of you guys are in churches, and we'll be aware of some places that we can start pointing people to help families in need, people in need. But for right now, we're just going to try to help defend the Ukraine. Keep them in prayer, and we will keep that updated. Thanks a lot. See you again.